Hi, Steve here from Mega Music, and in this video I'm going to show you around the new BOSS AD10 Acoustic Preamp, what it is, what it does, and how to use it. BOSS call the AD10 the definitive preamp for acoustic guitarists, and I think it is. You can look at the AD10 as a way of capturing the real resonant sound of acoustic guitar, which is often lost when you plug in. The AD10 will help you craft a very useful live or recorded acoustic sound, and it also allow you to perform with a looper. Guitarists that use the AD10 are going to find features that they like, love, or even need. For example, I really love the compressor in it because acoustic guitars can get a little out of control in a mix, and the compressor puts it in a nice sonic pocket without sacrificing any tone. The Acoustic Resonance feature recaptures that resonant sound of acoustic guitar, which you might have lost by plugging in, and the looper is really easy to use, say if you're performing live. So there's a fair bit to look at, so let's get on into it.
For this demonstration, I've plugged the BOSS AD10 into my computer via two XLR out cables, so you'll hear my guitar in stereo. The AD10 also has lines out as well, just normal jacks. Today I'll just have the single guitar input, but you can actually put two lines in. This would suit people with more than one guitar, a duo, or a guitar that actually has two outputs, one for each kind of pickup. So the first feature I'll show you on the BOSS AD10 is the handy and all-important built-in tuner. I've stepped on the tuner/mute foot switch, and that mutes the guitar and activates the tuner. I'll tune it down to a C sharp. The sharp is shown with a little square next to the note. The foot switch lights to the right and left will go up or down, depending whether you're sharp or flat, and the delay switch light in the middle tells you it's in tune, and that means you're good to go. So let's check out what the BOSS AD10 can do. When you first switch it on, it's in manual mode. This means it'll sound like whatever the knobs and switches are set at. For example, I've switched everything off here so you can hear my guitar without any AD10 effects. As you can hear, it's a reasonable sound, but to the trained ear you'll hear a lack of compression, EQ, reverb, guitar resonance, and the lovely things that bring a recorded acoustic guitar to life. But anyway, while we're in manual mode, I'll just show you that you can switch to the tuner and tune your guitar. You can also hit the boost pedal. This gives you a bit more volume for solos and parts that need to feature more in the music. And you can also hit delay, which adds the delay effect. This is a fast delay, but you can set the speed and amount of delay in the mix. I'll show that in a bit more detail later. Now let's look at memory mode. You press the boost and delay pedals together. This gives you access to your preset sounds. In this case, you can see that we're on preset 6. You can then foot switch scroll up and down to the other presets. You can store 10 of them. So now I'm on preset 1, and if I want to play in that sound, I hold down the boost and delay pedals, and this is now my playing sound. They call this the stomp mode. I can boost and delay it, use external pedals or expression pedals as I play in this mode. To get out of stomp and back to memory, hold the two pedals down again. This then allows me to change to another preset, such as preset 5 for another song. Double hold down and we can play in that. Now let's look at some of the features by creating a sound. You do that in memory mode where I am, so I'm going to switch to preset 2, which I've already set as having no effects, and of course that sounds like this. If you want, this could be a time to first adjust the settings of your own guitar. So I might turn up the bass, for example, but for this I'm keeping things fairly flat in the middle, which I think is a pretty good way to go. Why? Basically, you sonically want some room to move. You don't want effects to have to try to put back frequencies you've cut or overcompensate for too much of this or too much of that. Subtle moves are generally the key to a good use of EQ and effects. The first effect I would start with is your EQ. The AD10 has bass, mid and treble tailored to the range of an acoustic guitar, but also a low cut and a parametric mid control and a presence. So you can switch the EQ on first and you can adjust the level of the EQ overall. And as you adjust levels across the AD10, you'll actually see the number of the range you're on in the display. So I might just turn off the bass and work out my treble and mids first. So you've got your mid here that you can dial up or down. But what you can also do is, if you press the freak button, FREQ, I can set the frequency region that's being handled by the mid knob. So one way to approach it is to find the most unpleasant mids for your guitar first, and I do this by turning the mid all the way up, and then manually go and find the frequency range that isn't to my taste. Now, I'm not an EQ guru, by the way, but say I didn't like the sound of the mid-range at 1.3, I could then go to the mid knob and take it out a bit. Then I might go ahead and set my treble and bass. So you can hear the difference with the EQ off and then on. I haven't talked about the presence setting, but it helps out with the mids and trebles and it's good for definition. And so I've got a little bit of that in there as well, which is very nice. The BOSS AD10 also has an anti-feedback section as well. I won't go into great detail, but what you can do is actually scan for any feedback frequencies and they'll reduce it. But you can also use it as a bit of additional EQ, bit of a notch EQ, which is a specific frequency that you can actually boost or cut, so your EQ aficionados out there can sculpt your sound even further that way. Moving on to the Acoustic Resonance feature. You switch it on and you can choose between three types, from a natural sound through to a more coloured bright sound. The Acoustic Res is designed to emulate the natural resonance of an acoustic guitar, so it can put back a bit of what you lose by plugging in. So let's listen with the Acoustic Resonance off. So then there's the more mellow one. You can crank it up, but just a bit can be nice. Then you have the other settings to explore. You can have lots of it, or maybe just a touch of it. Okay, now to a feature that I really think makes the AD10 absolutely shine, and that's the compressor. First I'll play without the comp. Then you add the soft comp. And how nice is that? It gets the acoustic guitar under control so it doesn't take over the mix. You can play the hard compression as well. It's taking the edge off the sound and evening it all out. And you can adjust the level of compression. And the next effect to look at is delay. Now I've got the level right up so you can hear it. Then Then you can switch between a few types of delay. So say you like that one, you can then choose the time and the level. You can then add the chorus effect, which doubles up the sound. This one's fairly subtle, although by now I've got a lot of effects going on, so it's not as obvious in the mix. You can actually independently set the level of chorus as well. The BOSS AD-10 has an ambience effect, and this is the all-important reverb. The knob adjusts the amount of these effects in the mix, and the buttons select from the length of the reverb, from short, medium, and long. And of course, you might find too much a bit syrupy, so you can back off the amount. The last thing we want to do, of course, is save all this as a preset. So you might remember that we were in preset 2. So what do I do? Well, I hold down exit and memory together, and then hit memory, and now the new sound is saved as preset 2. I can go back to that anytime I like, even after I've switched the AD10 off. Now let's look at the BOSS AD10's looper. You can get into looper mode by pressing the loop and the delay foot pedals at the same time. And I'm actually just going to set up a loop for you and just explain along the way. I think it's a good idea to first start playing to get yourself into some rhythm. Then I press the loop to start recording. If I press again, it's in playback, so you can hear the thing I've already recorded. Now I can press in again to go into overdub mode, and I'll add some bass. If I jump back to playback, you can hear the bass. Now I might practice a bit of lead. Great, and then overdub that again. Out again. So then you might want to play solo. So you could hit boost and delay and solo away. And now I'm in a kind of Doors meets reggae situation. A double click will stop the loop, but it's still held in memory. And the fact that it's still held in memory can come in handy if you're playing a song. You could set up the loop but then play a different verse or section and go back to it when you wanted to, say in a chorus or solo. Okay, cool. So you get the idea. I should also mention that if you're in overdub mode, you can keep overdubbing and overdubbing if you just leave it running. So you can get multiple loops on top of one another without stopping. And if you hit the loop pedal and just hold it down, it'll actually clear all your loops entirely.
So there you go. Now there are a few things I haven't gone into, like the fact that the AD10's effects are even further adjustable. But anyway, I hope that inspires you to think about what the AD10 can do for you. If you're on YouTube, feel free to drop your comments or questions below and we'll get back to you. Or if you're in Australia, you can pick one up in store or online. Take care, guys.